Thank you. Okay, let's get into it. First of all, I'd like to ask you that question. Who's working with SwiftUI? Already? You told me you're UI kit guy.
Yeah, but I have to
Oh.
like cookies. Like
You switched.
double agent,
Oh.
double agent.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's great. Okay, let's get, so, a little bit about me. I'm Buexenstein. I'm from Germany, and basically I work more, I started my career more like an independent developer and try to learn things and build things with Swift and SwiftUI. So I more specialize in SwiftUI because I started personally quite late with Swift. So I started about 3.5 years ago, something like that. So I'm also still a little bit fresh, but of course when you're starting things, you discover new things and you try new things out. And I just want to, show what I learned. So put my knowledge forward. Okay. Then let's begin with the scenario. You see here, who doesn't have this experience? You create a nice app, beautiful design, everything, the nice UI you have imagined, and suddenly the designer says, hey, I want changes. Anyone here had this experience? No one? You! Okay, we have one. No one else? Okay. So then you know the pain, obviously. So what's happening when you have to redesign and do things over and over again? And especially when I started with SwiftUI, people, when you see it online, things going not the right way. So especially, you need to start inconsistency or consistency about styling across the screens. You need to watch out for those. You're also repeating the style often in code in multiple places. I don't know who followed those tutorials, copy paste, and then have multiple things that you can actually like unify and put into one part together. Then, and later when you develop, of course, something, it gets cluttered and it's very difficult to see UI and, tweak the stuff. So later on. And also we have new features we can, difficult to introduce when you have a quite overcoded UI, so to say. Okay, here's an example app. I built it also. You can later download it from GitHub. I have their link, so it's the very powerful Click Me app. And here you see, I call it what a mess. That's usually when you basically walk with the tutorials, you see, that's how you learn it. You do like that, you're creating, when you have a button, you put all the modifier, and you see it's very cluttered, it's very full of code. And often it's also repeated code, but it's not necessary, especially when I want the button, I just copy the button, all that code, and put it in another place. And here we see the problem in a more detailed way. So it's quite a big chunk of code. So if we paint the pain of restyling all the button, recreating it over and over again, duplicate the code, and it's getting very messy. Then the consistency, it's often the duplication, what I mentioned before, the code is duplicated. Then scaling issue, what I also mentioned before, it will be hard to scale when you later have to over and over go again and check the consistency of your UI. Okay, then we have here a solution, components. Who source out the code in SwiftUI, make components? Do that, okay? So with components, even they are great, there are also problems. So let's go through it. So usually when we start with a component, we're building it, we have our properties, and we have a separate file and we're building it, and also we forward with binding, we're creating more and more. I feel like it's sometimes very complex build when you build components. It's just a button. So really necessary for a button. Who usually does that? When you design a button and created a component only for the button. No, don't do it, right? It's not the best solution. Because it's over complicated. You creating more and more components in the whole ecosystem. So it's like you're cluttered with components in the end. So let's first talk about the component itself. It's better than having the raw code like you saw before, the very cluttered space. And the consistency, it's more consistent too, and you can customize, of course, the components. And easier to update in a way when the designers say, hey, I want to change here, I want to change the color. It's easier to update too. It's also true. But here you see already one of the problems with a component. You have all the initialization going on. And it can get really messy with time. So let's move on to the problem here. So now, okay, I want suddenly to change the colors, or I want different colors. So what we do? We're adding another property here, have a color property in the end. So increasing it, so it's getting more complex, the component, getting bigger. And there we got. Okay, we can customize it now, but also I feel like the code itself as a component, it's not so clean in my opinion. It feels more, I don't know, when I work with those, I feel like it's a little bit dirty. Okay, let's go to the solution. Styles. I don't know, anyone familiar with styles, button styles, label styles? Ooh, then you know already. You tried them out? They're awesome. Well, what are styles? Basically styles, they are like components. You can basically think like components, but on its own, it's a different concept. To creating a style, what you do basically is like, you need to create a button style. In the case of a style for button, you have your capsule button style. You need to make body function. And like you would do it with a component, you put in all the information you need. Then what is not a necessary step, but it's very recommended, you create your own extensions. So you can easily dig into the button style. I will later show about it. So, and what I did here, example, we have also the possibility with the color, background color, like you saw before. But what you can do here, you can create basically a style, including the color, so that basically your default style, and you don't need to worry, not need to all the time add color to the button, or when you want different style. And then you have also here a function where you actually can add the color if you want to. So here you see the button style capsule. So I use basically this one. That's all what you need for the button, and it comes out beautiful. Because that's basically, that code gets translated into that little thing here. When you add the button style, choose that one. I mean, you have like the default button style from SwiftUI, you know, those border prominent and those kind of things. And that's just an addition to it. It's just another button style. You just create it yourself. And it's clean code. And there you got the one with, but I want this one button. And then you just, okay, I want a pink. So you add, okay, pink, the color pink to it. And the result, you saw the code before, right? You remember the code before. When it was really cluttered and full of, messy code written. And basically what I did, I just used styles in that case. And I will go through that. I have a demo file. I will show it you all. So you can get some more deep into it. So you see here, and it looks also clean. It looks like Swift, you know. It's exactly the same style as you saw before. Like the text, you have a text field style. We have a toggle style, on toggle style, and also with the label. And you can also combine styles. Like example, the button, because I will show it in the demo with a button where you have like a horizontal and vertical. Sometimes a label cannot be horizontal or vertical. But when you create your own style, you can do it that way. So the button itself will be like vertical or horizontal. Okay, well, let's come to the conclusion. Yeah, I would say button styles are awesome. Or not just the button styles, like all the styles. So when you're working with styles, you can really simplify your user interface, make it more clean, and you can also have the full control and later to like redesign if necessary, or you can even switch styles out. Oh, I want to test this style, I want to test that style. So you have like way more possibilities than you would have just with a single like component. Imagine you have a component, you need to replace the component if you want another style. You need to replace this component. And adding things, it's complicated. Also with styles, you don't need to worry like when you have like a text field example, you need to bind the text field again, so you need to bind it with the properties. You don't need to do that. You're already safe from that. Okay, that's just some stuff here if in case you're curious about me, when you want to connect on LinkedIn or also GitHub. As I mentioned, I have a test file, so you can download it. It is prepared. So you can see it, the file, exactly file what I'm gonna right now actually demo and show you. So, what is that? Are you joking?
Oh, I thought they skipped it.
Okay, that's.
G market.
I'm so sorry.
Now.
I'm so sorry. That's like the free QR code stuff. When you get that, obviously they didn't. I tried it out at home. It worked flawlessly.
Yeah.
It worked flawlessly.
It's just a redirect in the middle, but you can generate codes directly using like DuckDuckGo and Brave Search. You just like type the URL and QR, and it'll generate QR right there. It doesn't have all this stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Oh wow. A ChatGPT can do that?
It
Wow.
works. It's not just like
That's cool.
No, it works.
Wow. Yeah, sorry for that. I used something I shouldn't use, obviously. So let's get into the demo, because I think that's actually the stuff why you came here and want to see. So let's start here with the button view. As you see here, what I talked about before, I have here like the stuff. When you usually start with SwiftUI, that's how you learn it. And I think it's not the right way. And I feel like not too many people talk about styles, actually. And yeah, as that, would be here. You see, it's like the original stuff. Then we have here the component way, the things you would do with components. And we have here, I have here a couple of examples. Let me quickly run the preview.
Do we do questions?
Yeah, of course. Just show, because I prepared it. Okay, you see here what I mentioned before. Actually, all that stuff in the style is all same style here. Everything is same, exactly the same. But if you're working with, example, those button styles, as you see, you just switch those things. You can replace it. You can, let's say here, example, I can make green if I want to. Hopefully for the updates. Yeah, there it is. And here I mentioned I actually did two styles, combined two styles. I created a custom style where you have the label, basically. The label is a vertical. So normally it's beside each other, as you know, when you use label or button, because I use here the button and initialize all the image and everything. It will be just normally beside each other, but if you want a vertical, have on top or whatever, you can do that. We also look into that style itself. But that's how I see it, and it's very flexible in that way. And it also looks very clean compared to when you would go any other way. Okay, let's quickly, as you saw before, here is, again, this is just the button style itself. You see how it is progressed. Usually when you're working with like button styles, you need to create, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit different, but as you will see it in my demo file, and you can just use it then later on. You can use here the make body, and then you use the configuration, and then you can configure the label. And yeah, you can just set it up basically like as you would do with a component. And then what I would strongly recommend, not necessary, I would always try to include extensions because it's just cleaner code. As you saw before, you just push the dot and then you get your extension and can add whatever you want to. Yeah, and here you see I made another button, a circle button. You saw before that. So if you want to, example, have like designer is not completely sure what design I want to switch it later on. It's super easy to switch. Just I want a round button, not anymore a rectangle button. You just one click and it's done. It's very clean, simple. Okay, then here we go with text fields, and you can make some stuff. You see that mess here, huh? You see that, huh? It's really messy. And imagine you just moved it all around, left and right, and duplicated maybe. It's really very messy. Now, of course, we can go again, our component solution, where we have to, usually what we do, we binding, we maybe have some other stuff going on here. And yeah, it works. But personally, I prefer, again, you go with styles. So you go get your text field styles, you just set it up as you did with your component, and there you go. You just have that in that file. You have even the outlines. You can like have, sometimes when you highlight that or like focusing on it, you can get your nice outlines with it. And then again, you just make your extension. Why I have here this included is, the reason is that when I want to delete the text, example, I have a function where you can clear the text, basically. So, okay, here you go. And you see again, we have here, like even it's the same one, the same style. You have different style. You can like have it with icon. You can have it with like no icon. And that's all what it is in the end. It's this on your main page and it's clean. It's like really very easy to maintain. You can copy it easy and you don't need to worry. The same also, what I like now, let's move on to the toggles. That's quite awesome what you can do. Usually when you like create like when I want to create an like a your own toggle, you do it like that. Usually you don't use itself like the toggle itself like the toggle. You would create it with an H tag. Oh, I see there's a double H tag. Sorry, that's a mistake. But you would do it normally like this kind of way. So you have your own like toggle. And what I found out quite late was you can do the same with a toggle style. So you have your real toggle. So if I would remove that one, oops. You see, it's just a normal Swift toggle. But putting that on, it's my own customized toggle. So it's really very nice, and you can just use your toggle. You don't need to worry, and you just add your style. And also here I made another style. I have here like a check mark because sometimes you want something different. So you just add that and your toggle style check mark, okay? And you have your check mark toggle. So.
And they're all in stage.
Yeah, they're all they're working together. in tandem. Okay, let's go again. Component. I mean, it's not complex. It's not like crazy difficult to do, but I don't know. Again, as said, I prefer the styles. I feel it's cleaner. It's more easier to maintain in the end. And again, go to the style. We make here. You have here a circle toggle style and also a checkmark toggle style. So you do it and then have again the same story. We make our make body. We're putting the stuff in we need. In that case, we need this here for the toggle because we want it works. So configuration on is toggle on, toggle, and then you just do it, you know. And it's like here the same. It's not crazy difficult code. It's like, and also what you can do, you can imagine like instead of having components for each one, you can have your own style file for all your different styles of toggle button. You don't mess up like for this kind of style you have a component, for this kind of style you have a component. It also reduces, I would say, the file size itself if you go that route. And go again, what I mentioned before with the label. Normally, when we have a label, it's like, you know how a label is? That's like the original orientation. And I like to use labels. I really like because it's just one thing to do. I'm very happy with being able to use the label styles, custom label styles. So as I showed you also, you can use them on the buttons. So combining two different kind of style in one. So you have like the horizontal style and the vertical. I mean, you can adjust and you can here add things. You can also, when you go back into the, here you have like an image scale. If you want a small one, you want a big one. So you have the option, and again, you can, as I said here, I just make more and more like presets, extensions, so just presets. Then I can just more easier switch them. I don't need to think about it. And I feel also it helps and it keeps it cleaner in total. And yeah, let's go to final. Let's see. There we have the problem code, what I showed you in the beginning. It is really, really long and messy, I feel. I mean, and then when we go to the final step with all the styles I created and just use the styles, you see how short the same view became. That's all to it, using the styles. And I feel it is very productive, you know, going that way. Will help you definitely to have a cleaner experience. Also, you'll be more able to recycle stuff. You can cycle, you can use, that's what I'm doing these days too. I just use styles in other apps. I just copy them very easily. Don't think too much about it anymore. So I have basically my own library with styles. And that's also, that's the final, let's say, for the demo. So it's now, I would say, anyone has questions? You
All
mentioned
right,
before.
wait.
Wait.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, any question?
You forgot it?
No, you go back to the slides.
Okay, let's go to the slides.
Let's go through all of them.
Can you get your Scala library? Can you get your Scala library?
You can download it. It's on GitHub. I put that file on GitHub. So you go on my GitHub link. You just can download it.
After the advertisement, after this is the GitHub.
Okay, going back, more.
I think I remember.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Go? No? Oh, sure.
First of all, I thank you for your nice presentation.
Thank you.
It was impressive. I'm curious, as for the top two lines, extension and the stop, top line the portion and the scroll down the stop. How did you do that?
Stop. Sorry, that extension you're talking about?
Exporter,
Yeah.
extension and stop two line, top two line.
You're talking here? This? Those?
So previous top, yes.
Yeah.
No, but it doesn't matter. Just source code. you scroll down.
Yeah.
You have to write the portion.
That I don't. That's probably Xcode thing. I have nothing to do with that.
Yes, that's like curious. How did you do that?
Xcode is doing that. I don't know.
How
It's,
to switch to line,
I cannot answer that question because I think it's Xcode is doing it.
Okay.
It's like,
Okay, source code you open the source code and the scroll down.
yeah, it just scrolls down.
That.
Yeah, that's
Just
all.
the stroke.
Yeah, it's showing the definition that
Yeah,
you're.
yeah, stroke.
It just, I think that's an automatic.
Yeah,
Automatic.
I think so too. It's automatic, so that's Xcode doing, not me.
That's right. It seems the Excel there is a portion, two lines, and you scroll down, just stop the string. Just keep you can see. I guess why.
Well, I'm sorry, but I think I need to ask you to maybe ask Apple about that. Because I can't answer that question, unfortunately.
Too much nowadays I wrote the export as well. It's up to you.
And maybe it's a new feature. I never cared too much about it.
Can you show the version of Xcode?
That's probably not the newest one. It's the
First Xcode?
Xcode. I don't even know where about this. Xcode about here we are. It's 15.4.
This is all.
I know it's old. I'm working with the old stuff. It's not even the newest. Yeah.
It's vintage.
Thank you for very interesting technique.
Oh,
I
thank
have
you.
one question.
Yeah.
Is there any common style for properties of or views? For example, view style.
It's unfortunately a little bit different with each style, so that's the only tricky part. Some styles are working kind of different. Let me quickly check through it. I think with text style example, yeah, you see it already. It's a little bit a different way to how they work, so you need to get comfortable with that. But in the end effect, they are kind of similar, but have some quirks, I would say. And especially here you see it with the text field style. If you want here, it's weird because you have an underscore under it. Don't ask me why.
Thanks, super cool talk.
Thank you.
I had some questions. One is you really bashed components quite thoroughly there.
It's
feel
not-
like you can mix both of these. It depends on what you're doing, right?
I think example for buttons, labels, and like not complex components, and you cannot build them with styles. It's only for like buttons, toggles, and text fields where I think it makes absolutely sense to work instead of components, because as I said, components kind of look ugly. With initialization and all this thing, it doesn't look even kind of Swift UI stylish to me. And I feel like the styles help a lot to prevent it. But you can combine, of course, if you have like complexer things where you have like building a card where you have like a text, you have a button and all those. I wouldn't just make a big component. You use a component when you want to make it something bigger, not just a button, you know? If you just want a button, use styles.
Yeah.
If you want something, a card, use component, of course.
And you can also make the component code look a lot more like this too by using like modifier extension methods and stuff, so you don't have.
Yeah, that's a little bit advanced.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had one last one question here was what about using this for your own views that are like composed of other things? It sounds like I think his question was getting at this. There isn't like a generic like style protocol or something. You have to kind of like come up with your own, and so there would be like a my view style or something, right?
It's kind of, you basically what I always did is like, you need to create like, you have custom text field, you're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
You need to do that. You need to create your own. It's technically, it's a component, right? It's a component, but it's just a little bit different kind of usage of the component.
Style specific.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I have, if you scroll down a little bit, could you explain why, for the default, you use like, I don't know that character in English.
I use that because it's a keyword. You cannot use keywords. Like default is forbidden. So that's why I use it that way. But I was just indicating that it's a default button, you know, default style. And that's a nice way you can do that.
Oh.
So if you want a word like default, it will turn red. Yeah.
So people can see it.
Yeah, it turns red. I cannot use it that way. So it is like, unfortunately, not usable.
How do you call it?
Default.
By default.
You can use it. You can use it dot default.
Default.
Just
Dot
you cannot
default.
declare it like this.
Oh, finally.
I mean, good stuff.
Yeah.
I think Ian kind of talked about the modifiers that I wanted to mention.
Modifier. You have Vue modifier?
Yeah, because I imagine this is just for kind of built-in stuff that Apple's made. But if you wanted to take it to the next step and have it more for your own components that you make and your own views, you probably make your own view modifiers that would kind of act as a style, since this is in a way like a modifier that kind of exposes more the insights of each of the components. You can touch on that. The one I was wondering is the button style that you had. How would you change the color of just the symbol, the image? Because it's a label. It just feels so like
The label, the problem is with the labels, I noticed there's some issue. The only place you can really change it, at least that's how I figured it out, is by creating a custom label style. And then you have the ability to change the color. But otherwise, I don't know why. It's basically locked in. It's terrible. I tried it too, because I want the label, I want the icon, I want to have a color, but the text black and white. You cannot do it. You can't. So the only way would be just adding here, you see here the icon, right?
Yeah.
So you can give the icon basically a color.
Yeah, and then you could apply this style inside the button style.
Correct. A little bit hackish workaround though. I don't know, I still don't understand.
You're the guy who uses the underscore body function from the text. That feels hackish.
It's not.
Is it official documentation?
Yeah, it's like the way I learned it. I don't know. Maybe I learned it wrong, but
Because
that's
usually the underscore is used for not official stuff. Yeah, right?
maybe
That's
it's
why-
not official.
Because you can see how text field has a generic of self dot underscore.
I never question it. I never question it. It
works.
works. Yeah, that's the main goal. You know, as long as it works, why care how it works.
Definitely gave me some ideas. I think the one that I like the most is the text field one that I probably should use more.
Yeah, it keeps you very. I don't know. I feel it. It's like very clean. You can make powerful things with it. And again, it is like. I don't know. As said, I try since I've discovered those styles. I try to just use them as much as possible because it gives me the flexibility to. If I, example, want to just design or quickly develop a new UI, I don't care about the design. I don't need too much think ahead of anything. I just lay out the buttons and everything, so I get quickly something together. And then later, I just use those styles to make it more nice and prettier. You know, fitting the way I want it. Any more questions? Oh, yeah. Oh, you. Oh. Yeah.
The research section is already inside.
You're talking about this one, the level style? Yeah. You can arrange this. You can arrange it. Yes, for arrangement. Yeah, how you arrange it. Yeah. Yeah, you can put in the VStack there. That's how you arrange. So when because I want the vertical style, that's why I use the vertical.
And the button and with like this already inside.
Yeah, you can, if you want to, with VStack you can do quite a lot of things with the VStack. You can put there anything in, I think it's limited to 10 things.
Oh,
No, it's not anymore. It's
Not anymore?
Only
Oh.
the Swift update.
Really?
But before, yeah, because the Swift had a limit of how many arguments a function can have.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because if you know how like groups, because if you know how Builder works, right? If you've tried to make your own property wrapper, you would see that you can't do more than 10 inputs, more than 10 arguments. So
Yeah, if you make it a custom, but
if you
yeah.
do more than 10, you wouldn't compile. So you
Yeah.
have to do like groupings or.
Yeah, I hated that. I hated that.
You have
Oh, that's
to
good
get
if it's.
more than
Oh, that's.
You had it equal to 15, so it's still.
That's a problem. That's a problem. So I'm behind you guys. I'm behind you.
Any other? Yeah.
This technique is very cool, but usually when you just join the company
Yeah.
that has an app store,
Yeah.
they have a lot of code.
I know it's overbloated mostly.
Yeah, and based on your experience, would you suggest rewriting the code or just adding this extension and make a new mess?
Well, it will not be a mess when you add a new extension. When you
I mean,
clean
with
it
the
like this.
existing code.
Well, it depends. It depends. You would need to have more context to it. But sometimes it's my own experience. It makes sense to rewrite it than to try to fix it because it takes you more time to fix something than it would take you to write. So
Have you ever applied that in the company? Because usually they are against it. They are like just.
well, I was the only developer, yeah, so I did whatever I want to do. Yeah, and I did apply that, and probably whoever will work after me on that code will damn me for it, but I don't care. It keeps the code clean. It helped a lot for streamline everything, and also when there were changes, I could do it very quickly. Yeah.
Thanks for the speaking. We love it.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
my question is a really stupid one. But
Oh, there are no stupid questions.
I'm just curious that what happens when you apply two button styles to one component? For example,
I never tried it.
can you try it? I'm really curious. So for example, if you have a two button styles like blue one, pink one, and when you apply two button styles in one component, is it like a compiler or like?
Maybe not. Maybe the last one, but we find it out now. We find it out. Let's see. We have here. Here we have the capture button, and let me just copy paste that one, and then we know.
First one sticks.
Let's see. Let's see. Let's get surprised. Yeah, the first one sticks.
Oh.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, the
I thought
capture.
with the last one. Yeah, I thought it was the last one because
Oh no! Switch the order. It's the way SwiftUI does stuff. It's backwards from what you think.
Oh, I
Yes.
see. Yeah, it's a stupid question.
That's not that hits at a really complicated thing in SwiftUI. Yep.
And as you see, we don't have this label style here. So if I would put the label style here on it, it would be obviously working.
The label style, we can probably do that.
Yeah.
I would imagine that one.
Yeah, label style is independent. Yeah.
Any last questions? No, I had one. Usually, so it's good that in the presentation you started from like the bloated code and then like the component, you say like the middle ground and then the best option for you. But I wanted to say, what's your thought process when, let's say, you get a new feature to do or a new app? Because by experience, I guess why most people start with the bloated code is in order to get something out
Quickly, I know.
quickly. You just do, and then so doing this work of adding all the modifiers, the components, this takes prior work. Let's say on Figma or somewhere to actually try to generalize all your components at once, so you don't.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, this leads to design system.
Yeah,
You should start with this. But what's your
Personally, what I did or do is, I also said it before, is I would just block out everything in the normal Swift components like button and everything. Just keep it like button, toggle and just have a very quick overview about the app, get the function done. So you have already the base function, which we can quickly done, and then later I just would try to design it. And the cool thing is with those styles, you can easily check, try out different styles. You know, it's like you switch down, like just like a very simple click. Or as I showed here, you have here. I have here the just a different style, capsule, circle. So, and I have also here function with capsule, circle, background, so I can just switching them out very easily, and I feel like it is very comfortable to work that way. So I would not put too much emphasis on design in the beginning when you start a new app. I just would not care too much on the design right now. Just get the functionality, because I've noticed, especially when you have no designer, you know, have UX design, you waste a lot of time with just trying to get something nice looking. It's a lot of time gone. And instead, just block it out, make it functional, and then consider and using those techniques with styles. It's very simple. You don't need to replace the button. That's a good thing. If you have components, you need to replace it. You need to do this. You cannot easily switch out the style.
And one last thing is, I don't know anymore what's the status on iOS about that, but on the web you have a lot of nice tools when you have design systems, especially like things like Storybook, or when you can have playgrounds when you can actually tweak the values very easily. Is there any, like, have you tried to implement this on your design, like a playground where you can have all your different components with all the variant, all the properties you can manipulate, like corner radius and so on, or maybe even you guys, is there anything in the wild that, I remember there were some libraries that tried to do this, but I feel in Swift, in iOS, it's more complicated than what you do on the web, so I don't know if you investigated about that, or if anyone here has uses something like this, or is also frustrated that there is no something straightforward to do that. Working with design system on Swift, which multiple shareholders, more like some people have on the web.
Sounds like interesting, though.
Yeah.
I never tried it, but maybe it makes sense.
Yeah, we'd love to have something like Storybook on iOS. To be honest, it's so good. But
there's another stuff I recently found. It called Play 2. That's only for basically Swift or for Apple. Just asking again for update. How much I hate that. Oh, great! It's just a big one. This tool is actually not bad. I tried it out a little bit. It specifies for the Apple ecosystem, so it's like all the components is like basically done for Apple. So, and you can, when you get a pro version, you can even copy the code. So I show it once it's finished. I don't have the pro version, so it's unfortunately blurred. But I don't like to pay. I'm sorry. But I think it's quite a nice tool. So if you want design, example, you want to just focus on UX, this is like Figma, you could say, for Apple stuff. Let's see, I have here already played around a little bit.
Just like prototyping?
Yeah, something like Figma. It's basically Figma. It's Figma, just for Apple. And it's very nice because whoever needs to design with those components, or when you're a designer, that means you can 100% rely on it. It's possible with Apple. So there's no say it cannot be done. So whenever a designer can do it with that tool, you can do it in for iOS or Swift. So basically what you see here is like kind of Figma, and you can build your components, and they have, I'm not professional in that thing. I just played a little bit around with it because I found it quite interesting. And let me see. Yeah, you can, what was it? Components, no. There's some way you can add easily stuff. I forgot it, how it is. Maybe that's, okay, here we are. So you see here like C stack, V stack. You can easily, it's like basically for that environment, and then you just design it based on those properties. And then you get here your Swift code. So when you pay, you can just copy paste. You don't need to write it in Swift, it's done for you. It's only Mac. It's not available for anything else. You mean the Mac? Yeah, anything. Anything, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Any last question?
Coldplay too, by the way.
No.
We couldn't ask them for sponsoring.
Yeah, I will have to.
Yeah, ask them. Ask them. Then we making a nice presentation.
Give us pizza and we will try.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Marcus.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.